A new discovery has brought this ancient map back into the spotlight. And this time, even more people are asking the same question. How could they have known about a hidden continent? This is the Piri Reis Map, and it may be the biggest piece of evidence that there was once a lost civilization. Let me explain. The Piri Reis Map is about 500 years old. It was drawn by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis in 1513. But what makes it so fascinating isn't who drew it or even when. What's shocking about this map is what it actually shows. Then why does it show the shape of Antarctica exactly? If it's covered in ice, then why did he draw the ice sheet? Well, it's because it wasn't frozen when he drew it. The glaciers hadn't formed yet. Or maybe he had more advanced tools than we're giving him credit for. Maybe he didn't even draw it. If this map is real, and if it's showing Antarctica without its ice, we don't know if the map is real or where it came from. So historians generally ignore it. If you read almost anything about the Piri Reis Map online, you will find something very interesting. Almost every article mentions something called the Baghdad Map. According to mainstream historians, the Baghdad Map was the source of the Piri Reis Map. It was basically a blank canvas where anyone could write down their theories on where the continents were. Mainstream historians do not want to believe that Antarctica used to be a continent with a civilization on it. And that's understandable. It completely changes history. But there is another side to this story. Then there's a chance that there used to be a land bridge between South America and Antarctica. And that means that there may have been warmer days when Antarctica had no ice. Days when life could thrive on the continent. Maybe even civilizations. And if there was a land bridge, then maybe people did live on Antarctica. But no answers. The gateway to Antarctica could have been a place where people fled when the glaciers started to form. So Piri Reis took this map and drew his version of the world. I've included some resources. Until next time, remember, how did they map the world? Before they discovered it? Then it's likely that they lived on this mountain range. But when it fell into the ocean, it would have been the end of their civilization. Then that means that Antarctica used to be a continent with a civilization on it. And that completely changes history. But until we discover new evidence, it will remain a mystery. Yes, but that's not the year that he drew it. And it confirmed that there was once a huge mountain range here. But when the tectonic plates shifted, the mountain range was wiped out and the land sank beneath the ocean. According to historians, that's the year that he had it printed. See, the thing is that no original copies of the Piri Reis Map still exist. All we have are copies that were made after it was printed in 1513. And if you look at those copies, you'll notice that they all say the same thing. It was copied from the Baghdad Map, meaning that Piri Reis didn't draw this himself. He just copied it. If such a large portion of our planet was habitable, then maybe there were people living on it. Historians say that it did exist, but we have no proof. It's simply a figment of their imagination. But if it didn't exist, then who did Piri Reis copy? That's the big question. It showed that the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean was not flat, but instead it had mountains taller than Mount Everest. And just like the Piri Reis Map, these mountains didn't have ice on them. Scientists named it the gateway to Antarctica, and it was huge news. And until historians can answer it, they will continue to ignore this map. Maybe there was an advanced civilization of people living there in complete harmony with nature. Then when the ice started forming, they had to flee to other continents, or they simply died off. Maybe it was compiled from other maps. Because according to what we know about history, it shouldn't exist. Okay, take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this old map. There are so many incredible details here that we'd never notice. Take these camels, for example. Look at how they march across the desert. You can almost feel their weight shift as they take a step. Or check out this ship. How incredible is it? These tiny little guys are sailing around the ocean in ships. We can tell they're sailing because they're following these blue lines. Remember, the blue lines are water. Here is Africa. The first is pretty simple. No one knows exactly where the map came from. And that makes it hard to verify. We do know that it was compiled by Admiral and cartographer Piri Reis in 1513. But what we don't know is where he got his information. Did he sail around the world? Did he steal someone else's map? Was it given to him by a mysterious traveler? We simply don't know. Here is Europe, here Asia, and in the center, a landmass that should not exist. This is Antarctica. The Piri Reis Map shows Antarctica without its ice sheet. It's just the bare rock that makes up the continent itself. There's a legend in the top right corner of the map, and it tells us that all of these blue lines represent water, while this brown color represents land. So there's no ice on the map because this is a map of the dry land that's below it, the same way that we can see Africa, Asia, and Europe on our own maps. And if you don't think that looks like Antarctica, well, just look over here. In the top left corner of our map, we can see a few islands off the coast of what would be South America, and they match up perfectly to some very familiar landmarks. This is modern-day Chile and Argentina, and those islands are identical to the ones that we see today. Just look at how they match up. They even got the shape of Patagonia right. It's the same shape as the continent, just smaller. Now, because the Earth's South Pole was covered in ice for millions of years, no one could see it. Well, that is until 1820 when it was finally discovered. So how could this map from 1513 show us what we couldn't see for another 300 years? The answer is really quite simple. So since we know this is Antarctica, why does it not have any ice? The answer is pretty obvious if you look closely. Now I'm sure you're wondering if this map is only showing the dry land. Either way, there's still a big question left. Why do most historians choose to ignore it? But let's get back to the question. Why don't mainstream historians care about this map? Well, there are a couple reasons. The second reason why mainstream historians don't care about this map is pretty obvious. The problem is we don't know which of these scenarios are true. And now for the last reason, and this is probably the most important one. But wait, I thought you said that Piri Reis drew this map in 1513. Well, but there's a problem with that theory, a big problem. The Baghdad map is not real. It doesn't exist. Now, obviously, we need to remember that there are two sides to every story. In 2017, NASA released a satellite image that shocked the world. If Antarctica was once free of ice, in fact, scientists used radar to look under the ice, and they found signs of a massive river underneath. But then again, we don't know if this river was from recent times or from millions of years ago. So we just have more questions. Then in 2019, another satellite image shook the world. It was a picture of a giant trench near Antarctica. So if there ever was a lost civilization on Antarctica, either way, it seems like Antarctica used to look a lot different. And that means that there might have been people living there. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then hit subscribe. And if you want to learn more about this topic,